Today, we will look at a profound and often surprisingly misunderstood topic, the essence of Theravada Buddhism through the exploration of a foundational text called the Buddha's Path. The goal is to cut through common assumptions and reveal Buddhism not as some mystical, ritual-heavy religion, but as a surprisingly practical, almost matter-of-fact guide for understanding life's true nature.
And what's so striking, right, from the very first page of the Buddhist Path is how it immediately pushes back against those popular images. The author states directly that Buddhism is, quote, most practical and matter-of-fact. So it isn't about collecting theoretical knowledge, it's about a direct investigation of our own rapidly changing mental and physical phenomena, right here, right now. It's about recognizing our subtle faults, cultivating wholesome deeds, wholesome speech, wholesome thoughts, aimed at a direct understanding to eradicate defilements.
The Buddhist teachings are incredibly concrete. They focus on all that is real in life, on every single mental and physical phenomenon that is experienced. It's about seeing their true nature, which is impermanent, recognizing the inherent unsatisfactoriness within them, and ultimately understanding ourselves not as fixed beings, but as dynamic compositions of elements constantly arising, constantly falling away. And that profound insight truly empowers change.
The core of the Buddhist enlightenment, the absolute cornerstone of this entire teaching, is found in the Four Noble Truths. They are really a roadmap. They offer both a philosophical framework and, importantly, a practical guide. They explain 1, the truth of suffering, 2, the truth of the origin of suffering, 3, the truth of the cessation of suffering, and 4, the truth of the path to the cessation of suffering.
The first truth, the truth of suffering, or dukkha, is assumed by many people to mean physical pain, the sadness, or grief. But it's far broader than that and much more profound. It's the inherent unsatisfactoriness, the unease that arises simply from the impermanent nature of all phenomena, both pleasant and unpleasant. Anything that arises and then falls away immediately can't provide a lasting refuge or satisfaction. So even our pleasant feelings are, in this deeper sense, dukkha, because they're fleeting, they don't last.
A profound insight here isn't just that life contains pain. We all know that. It's that even fleeting joys carry an inherent unsatisfactoriness precisely because they don't last. And becoming aware of this can fundamentally shift how we chase happiness and maybe help us find deeper contentment. The text refers to our lives as 5 groups, khandhas, of all realities. They are physical realities, feelings, perceptions, mental activities, and consciousness, all inherently dukkha because they are impermanent and not self. It's a constant state of becoming and dissolving, which just by its nature can't offer ultimate peace.
What then is the cause? What's the origin of this constant unease? That brings us directly to the second truth, the origin of suffering. The Buddha identified craving, or tanha, as the root cause. It isn't just strong attachment or obvious greed. It encompasses all shades and degrees of desire for pleasant things, and crucially, even the subtle craving for the continuation of life itself. This craving, this tanha, it's the fuel. It's what conditions rebirth, propelling us through successive existences. It keeps the cycle turning.
The third truth is the ceasing of suffering, or nibbana. Some might know its Sanskrit term nirvana. It's really crucial to understand that nibbana is not a place. It's not a heaven or some kind of paradise after death. It's described as an unconditioned reality. That means it doesn't arise or fall away like everything else. It's described as the destruction of lust, the destruction of hatred, the destruction of illusion. It's the end of clinging to existence. And that is freedom from the whole cycle of birth, old age, sickness, and death. And it's not just a concept to speculate about. The text insists it's a reality that can be experienced.
The fourth truth, the path to the ceasing of suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path, is the way to develop that direct understanding of all physical and mental phenomena in our daily lives, to really see them clearly as impermanent, as unsatisfactory, dukkha, and as not self. Things are impermanent. People die. Life involves suffering. Most of us understand that intellectually, but the Buddhist teaching pushes beyond just accepting these facts theoretically. But theoretical understanding is the starting point. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient for true liberation.
This raises a key question. How can this be truly internalized? How do we realize this truth in our own experience, not just acknowledge it? The text gives a really poignant story, the story of Kisa Gotami. She was completely overcome with grief after losing her young son. The Buddha didn't just give her a lecture on impermanence. Instead, he gave her a task. He instructed her to find a single mustard seed, but from a house where no one had ever died.
Her search, her inability to find such a house, led her to a direct, visceral, experiential realization of universal impermanence. It fundamentally shifted her outlook and allowed her sorrow to transform. It is direct understanding of the teachings which emphasize that all mental and physical states arise and fall away in split seconds, constantly.
Our lives are compared to the flux of a river. It seems like the same river day after day, that no single drop stays the same. And similarly, what we call a person is this continuous, fleeting stream of mental and physical phenomena. Realities come and go rapidly like a flash of lightning. We have no control over their arising or their passing away. Our existence is also likened to a mirage or a bubble of foam. It appears substantial, but vanishes on closer inspection. And the profound implication here is that clinging to anything impermanent, even our sense of self, our identity, is inherently a source of suffering.
It's not just the big things like death, it's every single moment. Seeing, hearing, thinking, all arising and vanishing in incredibly rapid succession. That's a lot to truly grasp and observe in daily life. So what exactly should we be observing then? The Buddha defined the all very concretely. He said, eye and visible object, ear and sound, nose and scent, tongue and savor, body and tangible object, mind and mind states. These are everything that is experienced through the senses and the mind. The teaching pertains to all the realities in daily life, right here, right now. And the crucial point is to investigate, say, seeing itself or hearing itself, the act of perception, rather than getting absorbed in thoughts about the content, about what was seen or heard. It's about the direct, unadorned experience of phenomena as they appear. And that's how we begin to truly understand their fleeting and impersonal nature.
This then leads us to perhaps the most challenging concept for many people, which is non-self, anatta. It feels so counterintuitive to the ingrained experience of having a distinct self, or maybe a soul that lasts, and we constantly use I and mine. How does the text help us understand this radical idea?
It is challenging because it directly confronts our conventional way of experiencing the world. What is conventionally called a person or a self are ultimate realities, a temporary combination of those mental and physical phenomena, the 5 khandhas mentioned earlier. They are in a constant process of formation and dissolution. There's nothing lasting, nothing eternal, nothing unchanging in this so-called self.
The commentaries use really vivid similes, like a chariot, to explain realities. Is there an inherent chariot entity, or is chariot just a name we give to an assembly of parts? Wheels, axle, frame, or a house? Is it an ultimate reality, or just a term for a space enclosed by timber, clay, and other materials? In the ultimate sense, there's no fixed chariot or house apart from its components. And just so, there is no static being apart from these fleeting khandas. But the key insight here isn't nihilistic, it's liberating. If one is not a static individual, but a continuous flux, it gives incredible freedom to reshape unhelpful patterns.
The distinction between conventional truth, the world of people and things we interact with daily, using names like chariot or person, and ultimate truth, the underlying reality of impermanent mental and physical phenomena, is absolutely vital. The Buddha taught both, respecting conventional reality. But understanding ultimate truth, like non-self, is deep. It's hard to penetrate without direct investigation.
One might ask, if there's no lasting self, no one really in control, what about free will? Does this teaching imply that our lives are just predetermined, or that we should just become passive observers? The idea of free will, as we usually think about it, presupposes a lasting personality, an agent who can exert power over our choices. Since the ultimate truth is that there is no such fixed lasting self, then there's no free will truly independent of conditions. Instead, volition, the will or desire to act, itself arises based on conditions, including our past accumulations of wholesome and unwholesome tendencies. What we decide to do in this moment depends heavily on those past tendencies. But crucially, the text says, when understanding is developed, which can eliminate the clinging to a self, one becomes really free. It points to a different, deeper kind of freedom. It's freedom from the delusion of a fixed self, which leads to greater clarity and actually less suffering, not passivity.
The Buddha himself exemplified profound care, kindness, patience, compassion, thinking constantly of the welfare of all beings. And he did this without clinging to a wrong view of an abiding self. Understanding non-self can actually lead to performing tasks with more unselfishness, more wholesomeness, precisely because one is less bound by the ego and its demands.
One may ask, if there's no enduring self, what exactly is doing all the seeing, hearing, thinking? The answer is citta. It's absolutely crucial to understand this. It refers to individual moments of consciousness, not a static mind or soul. Our lives are essentially an unbroken, extremely rapid series of these cittas. Each one is impermanent. It arises, it experiences one object at a time, and it falls away. It feels like we experience many things at once, but the teaching explains that different cittas, like seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness, thinking consciousness, arise and vanish in incredibly swift succession, so rapid it seems simultaneous. But the key insight here is this. One is not a static being. We are each a continuous microscopic flow of choices. Every impulse, every fleeting thought is an opportunity to steer these micro moments towards greater wisdom or deeper into suffering. Every single moment of consciousness is either wholesome, unwholesome, or neutral. And the roots, like attachment or wisdom, are mental factors accompanying the cittas. It's like micro moments of moral quality, constantly unfolding, shaping our experiences.
Every fleeting moment of consciousness is like a micro decision. Is it rooted in unskillful tendencies, things like craving, aversion, or ignorance? That's akusala, unwholesome. Or is it guided by wisdom, non-attachment, loving kindness? That's kusala, wholesome. And some cittas, like just the bare registering of seeing color, are neutral, neither wholesome nor unwholesome. These accumulated tendencies, these roots, they're like microbes, the text suggests, lying dormant, ready to appear when the conditions are ripe. So the reactions to objects we experience through the senses depend on these accumulated inclinations and whether we apply unwise attention, which leads to akusala cittas, or wise attention, which leads to kusala cittas. The text even states that citta is the leader of the world, emphasizing just how profound its influence is on our behavior and our entire experience of life.
This idea of wholesome and unwholesome intentions immediately brings to mind karma, what many of us know as karma. The text has this striking quote, "Deeds are one's own, Brahmin youth. Beings are heirs to deeds. Deeds are matrix. Deeds are kin. Deeds are arbiters." This is a profound, inescapable, and impersonal law of cause and effect. It's absolutely central. But it's not a system of reward or punishment handed down by some divine being. That's a common misunderstanding. Karma literally means action or deed, but primarily it refers to the intention or volition that accompanies a chitta, the intention that motivates actions through body, speech, and mind. Simply put, good deeds, wholesome intentions, bring pleasant results. Bad deeds, unwholesome intentions, bring unpleasant results.
Now, while the karma itself, the volition, the intention, falls away immediately with the chitta, its dynamic force, its potential, that gets accumulated. It's carried on from moment to moment, like a seed that eventually develops into a fruit-bearing tree. This explains why the text talks about the 8 worldly conditions, things like gain and loss, fame and obscurity, praise and blame, ease and pain, as being the direct results of our past karma. It's not random chance or punishment, but a natural consequence, the ripening of seeds we planted with our intentions. And this has implications beyond just this lifetime. Karma is what determines rebirth. The Buddha explicitly explained that differences between human beings' lifespan, health, beauty, wealth, wisdom, and so on are attributed to their past karma. But again, it's absolutely vital to understand that there is no transmigration of a self or a soul because there's no fixed soul to migrate.
The rebirth consciousness, the first sita of a new life, is completely new, but it's conditioned by past karma. It doesn't involve the transfer of a soul. The text uses these insightful similes. An echo originates from a sound, but it's not the same sound. Or a seal impression comes from a seal, but it isn't the seal itself. So while our present life is conditioned by the past, there's no permanent substance passing between lives. It's a continuity of causality.
The text also explains a deeper structure called dependent origination. It's basically a chain of 12 interconnected causes and effects that explain why suffering arises and continues, cycle after cycle. But the core idea is actually quite simple. If you remove the root cause, which is ignorance, not seeing things as they really are, the whole chain, the whole cycle unravels. So understanding karma helps us see why we face certain experiences, and that while we can't undo the past, our present intentions and actions are profoundly shaping our future, even across lives. It places a huge emphasis on our present choices, not on some external judgment or fate.
Therefore, it empowers the present moment. And this understanding, even if it's just theoretical at first, can help. It can help us be less overcome by despair when facing the unavoidable adversities of life. When we understand causality, we can approach suffering differently. As the text implies, more understanding means less suffering.
In addition, the Buddhist path isn't just about understanding these deep concepts. It's very much about action, about living differently. The text summarizes the teaching for all Buddhas as not to do evil, to cultivate good, to purify one's mind. How does this timeless wisdom translate into practical, wholesome living for us today, beyond just intellectual acceptance?
Wholesome living, kusala, is generally classified into 3 areas. First, there's generosity, dana, and this extends far beyond just giving material things, though that's part of it. It includes appreciating others' good deeds. In Thailand, there's a lovely word, anomo dana, which means expressing heartfelt appreciation for someone else's goodness. That itself is kusala. It also includes extending merit, helping others cultivate kusala sitas because of the good deeds of another, and even simple things like abstaining from harming others. Not swatting an insect, for example, is seen as giving the gift of life. Forgiving others' wrongdoings is also a profound act of generosity. It requires overcoming conceit and aversion. And finally, explaining Dhamma, the Buddhist teaching, is considered the highest gift because it leads towards the ultimate elimination of suffering.
The second is good moral conduct, sila. This is primarily about abstaining from unwholesome deeds, things like killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, slandering, using rude speech, and engaging in idle talk. The 5 precepts for lay people, abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and taking intoxicants, are a foundation for this training. They're principles, not commandments. The text also clarifies some interesting points like meat eating. The Buddha allowed monks to eat meat if it wasn't killed specifically for them. The focus is on the intention behind the killing, not purely the consumption.
The text points out how much of casual conversation might be rooted in attachment to pleasant sights, sounds, tastes, and just accumulates more defilements without us realizing. It challenges us to scrutinize the citas, the intentions motivating even our everyday speech. Sila also includes right livelihood, earning a living through ethical means. The profound idea really is that every interaction, every word, every deed is an opportunity to cultivate wholesomeness, even in the smallest moments.
Seeing danger in the slightest faults is important. It brings to mind the example from the text where monks are described as vying for the best sleeping places. Even for us as lay people, that's relatable. Such as how we might subtly ensure the best for ourselves in daily situations, like getting the best seat on a bus or train. This highlights how reading the Vinaya, the book of discipline for monks, though it might seem very specific and restrictive, can actually offer profound lessons for lay people. It helps us recognize our own deeply rooted faults and vices, things we might otherwise overlook. Even common behaviors, the text mentions, like bean simpuri. It means speech that's kind of partially true and partially false, often motivated by a desire for gain or maybe just to impress others. It's highlighted as unwholesome. These subtle defilements, they accumulate tendencies if we are not mindful. So the monk's disciplined life, fewness of wishes, wise reflection on necessities like food and robes, serves as a model, a high standard for cultivating wholesomeness. Ultimately, the goal for both monks and laypeople is the same, the purification of the mind and the development of wholesome thoughts, speech, and actions.
Thus, you can see that Buddhism is a practical path of direct understanding, not just a philosophy or a set of beliefs. We've explored the profound nature of impermanence and non-self, the constant flow of citta guiding every moment, the intricate law of karma shaping experiences, and concrete ways to cultivate a wholesome life through generosity, moral conduct, and underlying it all, mental development.
It also means recognizing that every single moment of life, every thought, every word, every action holds profound significance. It's shaping experiences not only at this moment, but conditioning future experiences potentially across future existences. By developing understanding, by seeing the arising and falling away of phenomena directly, we can begin to see life not as some fixed entity or a predetermined destiny, but as a dynamic, unfolding process of continuous becoming, always offering an opportunity for deeper insight and for true freedom. That's a really powerful thought indeed. So, if our present is conditioned by our past, and our future by our present actions and intentions, and yet there's no lasting self to control it all, how then do we reconcile the deep sense of personal responsibility for our actions with the understanding that everything, including our very volition, arises from conditions?
You are a compassionate teacher, shining bright in words that touch a heartfelt light. Only you speak truths for us to glean. In understanding, your voice is seen. With humble heart, I bow in thought to the triple gems that you have taught. In my sincere heart, faith holds tight, devotion grows in sacred light.
Morning, noon, and evening call, each word of Dharma valuable to all. Reflect and ponder life's weary plight. Who can decree our fate aright? In ignorance we stumble and roam, caught in darkness far from home. We all were born, must seek the way to uncover truth, come what may. Now more than 70 years have passed. With patience fast, your teachings cast. No matter the toil, you stand your ground with steadfast heart and love profound. Gentle and kind, your compassion flows. Forgiveness grant, your wisdom